Hello and welcome in to the LMU Lacrosse Complex on the campus of Lincoln Memorial University in Harrogate, Tennessee, where the Lady Rail Splitter lacrosse team of Lincoln Memorial prepares to do battle with the South Atlantic Conference foe Tusculum on this Wednesday afternoon, a beautiful afternoon for lacrosse here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex as the Lady Rail Splitters prepare to face off against the Pioneers of Tusculum College. Lincoln Memorial enters this afternoon's contest with a 3-7 overall record, 1-4 in South Atlantic Conference matchups, while the visiting Pioneers enter today with a 4-8 overall mark, along with 2-2 in conference play. Brandon Burke joining you with the LMU Sports Network. As if you tuned in on Saturday, this past Saturday afternoon, Lincoln Memorial faced off against the Royals of Queens University, which ended up being a 24-5 defeat at the hands of the visiting Royals. Queens, the 9th-ranked team in the nation, now 8th-ranked team in the country, as we are just about set to get underway here from Harrogate, Tennessee for Lincoln Memorial and Tusculum in what will be the 11th matchup of the 2017 season for Lincoln Memorial. Opening draw control is won by the Pioneers. Both teams with a little bit of a losing streak going into this one. Lincoln Memorial has lost 3 of the past 4 contests, while the Pioneers have a 3-game losing skid of their own. The Pioneers' 2 South Atlantic Conference wins heading into this matchup come against Brevard and Newberry, while Lincoln Memorial's lone conference win also comes against the Wolves of Newberry College. As Tusculum now on the very first offensive possession of the game. Lincoln Memorial trying to grab South Atlantic Conference victory number 2, as there's a nice save that time by goalie Shannon Novak of Lincoln Memorial. First shot on goal attempt is unsuccessful by the Pioneers. Here comes Casey Kelly of LMU, reaching the midfield mark, gives it off to Amara Moss of the Lady Rail Splitters. Early going here, no score between Lincoln Memorial and Tusculum on this Wednesday afternoon on the campus of Lincoln Memorial. Rachel Bernhardt now on the left side gives to Casey Kelly. Kelly with Emily Gleason of the Pioneers defending, gives it off to Jasmine Click. Click tries to spin past the defender, gives off to Heather Roach on the right side. Roach scored 2 of the Lady Rail Splitters' 5 goals last Saturday against Queens, while teammate Kennedy Beechner also notched 2 of her own. And Zoe Zervos notched the 5th and final goal for Lincoln Memorial in that 24-5 defeat at the hands of the Royals. As LMU on their first offensive possession of the game, on the Pioneers' first possession, unsuccessful shot on goal attempt, and Lincoln Memorial now with their first crack at scoring, nearly turns the ball over, but ground ball scooped up by Rachel Bernhardt, picked up by Amara Moss. Moss spinning past the defender, pass inside, intended for Rachel Bernhardt, nearly lost, but Bernhardt scoops it up. Lincoln Memorial retains possession on this long offensive possession here to begin the game. No score early from Harrogate. Jasmine Click now gives it into a Lady Rail Splitter to the left side of the goal. Nearly lost the ball again. Lady Rail Splitters fortunate to have no turnovers on this possession here. Nearly turned it over several times. They've kept possession, however, as Jasmine Click tries to attack, and she scores! The first goal of the afternoon is scored by Lincoln Memorial as Jasmine Click knocks it through to give the Lady Rail Splitters a 1-0 lead early in Harrogate. As it comes in the early minutes of the game, 27 minutes and 23 seconds remain here in the first half of play, as Jasmine Click, the sophomore midfielder from Claremont, Florida, out of East Ridge High School, gives the Lady Rail Splitters the early 1-0 advantage over the Pioneers of Tusculum. Again, LMU trying to break this mini losing skid they have. They had a very busy week last week as they competed against the Bulldogs of Wingate University on Sunday in what was a 16-8 defeat. Then they had to turn around the very next day and travel to Cleveland, Tennessee. And that was a blowout victory for Lincoln Memorial over the Flames of Lee University. And then last Wednesday, a week ago, the Bears of Lenoir-Rhyne defeated the Lady Rail Splitters 13-7. And then last Saturday was the beatdown at the hands of the Royals as Lincoln Memorial wins the ensuing drawing control up 1-0 off the first goal of the game from Jasmine Click. Click, one of the premier scorers for Lincoln Memorial, as she was held in check on Saturday against Queens. She gets right to work here in the opening contest, nearly 3 minutes into the game, and it's 1-0 Lincoln Memorial. As there was a whistle against Tusculum, Lincoln Memorial will retain possession with number 27, Kennedy Beechner. Beechner, the freshman attacker from Stafford, Virginia, who powered through 2 goals on Saturday against Queens. And I believe both of those goals came in the opening half of play. As Lincoln Memorial again on the offensive end with Jasmine Click, who just scored the first goal of the contest moments ago. Click on the right side, flips it over to Heather Roach, who finds Casey Kelly on the left side of the goal. Kelly looking to attack, and she scores! Casey Kelly makes it 2-0 Lincoln Memorial, and the Lady Rail Splitters off to a tremendous offensive start in this contest, and all of a sudden it's 2-0 Lincoln Memorial. And it appears that that goal has actually been waved off. So that goal will not stand. I'm not sure what the call was by the official. Nonetheless, it remains 1-0. So just when it seemed that the Lady Rail Splitters could have notched a 2-0 lead here early in the game, Casey Kelly's goal is waved by the official, and the score stays 1-0 LMU. As Amara Moss will look to attack off after we resume play here, is Amara Moss, the sophomore midfielder from Woodbridge, Virginia. She was not in action on Saturday against Queens, but she has returned to play here on this Wednesday afternoon from Harrogate. Jasmine Click now on the right side for LMU. She scored the lone goal in this contest that came with 27-23 in the first half. Tried to make it 2 goals right there, and that shot attempt was unsuccessful. LMU will retain possession with Zoe Zervos. Heather Roach gives off to Amara Moss. Moss now up the middle, kicks it back out to Jasmine Click. Click nearly had the ball stolen away from her by defender Jordan Smith. Lincoln Memorial retains possession yet again as Amara Moss flips it over to Casey Kelly on the right side of the goal. Kelly, the leading scorer for this Lincoln Memorial offense, and she was held in check on Saturday as she did not score against the Royals of Queens University, as she nearly scored moments ago, but her goal was waved off by the official, and the score remains 1-0 in favor of the Lady Rail Splitters. Casey Kelly nearly loses the ball, scoops it up as Madison Malone for Tusculum was defending the junior midfielder. As Casey Kelly flips it over to Heather Roach on the right side. Roach looking to attack, gets a good look, and that shot on goal was unsuccessful. A great save that time by the Pioneer goalie, and Tusculum will take it the other way for their second offensive possession of the contest. And just as they gain possession, the Pioneers are going to turn the ball over. So the second offensive possession for Tusculum ends up being a short offensive trip, and LMU will take it the other way. As Lincoln Memorial will take it off of the turnover. Lady Rail Splitters lead this one 1-0 here in the early going of the first half. Lady Rail Splitters tried to get it past the midfield mark. They're going to end up turning the ball over, and the Pioneers are going to go the other way. Had a great shot on goal opportunity that time as a stoppage of play, as that was Haley Bartlett, the sophomore attacker from Ontario, Canada. As she's going to try again. She's going to try and even the score for Tusculum, and that shot is unsuccessful. Great save by Shannon Novak, the goalie for Lincoln Memorial, the junior from Grosse Pointe Farms, Michigan. Lincoln Memorial now taking it the other way. Again, leading 1-0 over the Pioneers, as that pass is just out of reach for the intended target, Rhiannon Beddington for LMU. And the Pioneers will take over on offense following the turnover. As for the Pioneers, this is Rachel Holmes at midfield, who gives it off to teammate Savannah Elliott of Tusculum. Elliott now on the left side with her team trailing 1-0 in the early going. Elliott being swiped out hard by the defender. That's going to be a whistle against LMU. Elliott's pass intended for Haley Bartlett. Unsuccessful. Shannon Novak, the goalie for LMU, will scoop it up, and Lincoln Memorial takes it the other way off of the turnover. A little sloppy play for the Pioneers as they've turned it over a couple of times early on in this contest, as Casey Kelly races it past midfield for LMU with the Lady Rail Splitters leading 1-0. Lincoln Memorial on the attack, and scoring is Kennedy Beechner. Beechner makes it now officially 2-0 Lady Rail Splitters. 21 minutes, 51 seconds remain, and as we approach 10 minutes gone here in the contest, it is all Lady Rail Splitters as Lincoln Memorial leads Tusculum 2-0 off of Kennedy Beechner's first goal of the contest. Beechner, the freshman attacker from Stafford, Virginia, as Beechner notched 2 goals on Saturday against Queens University, and she gets right to work today as Beechner makes it 2-0 Lady Rail Splitters, as 21:51 remain here in the first half, and both goals in the contest have gone in favor of Lincoln Memorial. As the ensuing draw control is won by Amara Moss of Lincoln Memorial. Great play by Moss there, and the Lady Rail Splitters are going to get a fast break opportunity, and unfortunately Beechner is going to turn the ball over following her goal just moments ago. Lady Rail Splitters tried to go maybe a little bit too fast that time, and it ended up costing them, and Tusculum's going to try the other way, as this is Eliza Ryan of the Pioneers. Gives it off to Savannah Elliott. As Madison Malone now for the Pioneers with Tusculum down 2-0. The Pioneers trying to break a 3-game losing skid, and it's as there's a goal that time by number 10, Rachel Holmes. And Holmes of Tusculum trims the advantage down to 1. As with 21 minutes and 10 seconds remaining, just a few seconds after Kennedy Beechner makes it 2-0 Lady Rail Splitters, it's now 2-1 Lincoln Memorial, as Rachel Holmes, the sophomore attacker from Norcross, Georgia, trims the advantage down to 1. Just about 40 seconds after Kennedy Beechner's goal for LMU, Rachel Holmes comes back the other way for the visiting Pioneers and makes it a 2-1 game. As Lincoln Memorial tried to score off of a fast break opportunity and ended up turning the ball over, and then the Pioneers will take it the other way and score quickly in their own right. As Zoe Zervos grabs the draw control for LMU, Lincoln Memorial will return to play. As this is Heather Roach crossing the midfield line. As it is now 2-1 Lincoln Memorial off of Holmes' goal from Tusculum just moments ago. Lincoln Memorial on the offensive end. Again, the Lady Rail Splitters enter today's matchup with a 3-7 overall record, trying to grab their second South Atlantic Conference victory of the season. As Amara Moss being swiped at by defenders, she's going to scoop the ball up and retain possession. She tried to attack that time but couldn't get a good look at the goal, and the Lady Rail Splitters will reset the offense up by 1. Rachel Bernhardt now down the middle, gives over to Jasmine Click on the right side. Click trying to shake the defender, loses the ball, trying to keep possession. Is going to be a foul against number 6 of Tusculum. That's Claire Stanton. And Click will give it off to Zoe Zervos. Zervos scored on Saturday against the Queens Royals right before the end of the first half. And it's going to be a turnover for the Lady Rail Splitters as Madison Malone of the Pioneers scoops it up and takes it all the way here. Past midfield, pass inside. They couldn't corral it, and Lincoln Memorial will take the ball off the turnover. They nearly give it back over to the Pioneers as there's a scramble for the ball near midfield. As there's a whistle from the official, and it's going to go back to Lincoln Memorial. As Lady Rail Splitters' Rachel Bernhardt tries to back out through a double team, gives off to Heather Roach here. Lady Rail Splitters still trying to get on their side of the field following the Pioneer turnover. As Jasmine Click now, who opened up the scoring in the contest nearly 3 minutes into the game, brings it past midfield, and the Lady Rail Splitters will reset the offense up 2-1 over the Tusculum Pioneers. Casey Kelly for Lincoln Memorial. As we have a timeout, as head coach Caitlin Carassi of Lincoln Memorial is going to call a timeout, and we will take it with them, with the Lady Rail Splitters leading the Pioneers of Tusculum 2-1. We're going to take a quick 1-minute break as you're watching the LMU Sports Network. Back out to the LMU Lacrosse Complex on the campus of Lincoln Memorial, where the Lady Rail Splitters lead the Pioneers of Tusculum by the score of 2-1. Off the timeout by head coach Caitlin Carassi and Lincoln Memorial. Want to let you know that it is a very busy day for Rail Splitter athletics, as spring sports are in full swing here on the campus of Lincoln Memorial, as the Lady Rail Splitters softball team is going to be in action today, as they are in the midst of a doubleheader with the Pioneers of Tusculum College, as a matter of fact, as game 1 is going to get underway at 2 o'clock from Tusculum, with game 2 taking place at 4 p.m. as the LMU baseball team is going to get underway at 3:30, as they have a one-and-done non-conference matchup on the road against the Tornado of King University. Again, that contest tips off, or gets underway, if you will, at 3:30. And for more information on LMU baseball and softball, you can visit www.lmurailsplitters.com. As the Lady Rail Splitter lacrosse team here is in the first half against the Tusculum Pioneers, as Jasmine Click looked to score her second goal of the contest, but a save by the goalie for the Pioneers, Brooke Wagner, the junior from Snellville, Georgia. And the Pioneers now trying to stay on the offensive end here. They've not been on the offensive side of the ball for very long here in this contest. However, they have scored one goal, which came from Rachel Holmes at the 21-10 mark here in the first half. Pioneers trailing 2-1. It was Jasmine Click and Kennedy Beechner for Lincoln Memorial providing the 2 goals early on for the Lady Rail Splitters, as Rachel Holmes made it a 1-goal advantage just a few minutes ago. As for the Pioneers, this is Savannah Elliott. She's going to give off to Malone for Tusculum. Malone trying to spin past Heather Roach. Shot on goal attempts no good. Saved by Lincoln Memorial, and the Lady Rail Splitters have a great offensive opportunity here. Racing past midfield is Jenny Shorling for Lincoln Memorial. Shorling gives it off to another Lady Rail Splitter to the left side of the goal. That is Kennedy Beechner, who already has 1 goal to her credit in this contest. And Beechner is just a freshman, and she has been a very consistent offensive spark for the Lady Rail Splitters. And Amara Moss makes it 3 goals for Lincoln Memorial. Moss scores her first goal of the contest and is now 3-1 Lady Rail Splitters. With 16:35 to go here in the first half, as we are approaching the halfway point of the first half, as Amara Moss makes it 3-1 Lady Rail Splitters. That pushes the deficit up to 2. As Lincoln Memorial's Amara Moss, who was not in action on Saturday against the Queens Royals, she makes her presence felt in this one as the sophomore midfielder from Woodbridge, Virginia, knocks through her first goal of the game. You mentioned Lincoln Memorial got a great offensive look that time as Jenny Shorling was able to get a fast break, if you will, around the midfield line, and Amara Moss would take advantage of that and make it a 3-1 Lincoln Memorial lead. It's been Jasmine Click, Kennedy Beechner, and now Amara Moss scoring for the Lady Rail Splitters as the ensuing draw control is won by Tusculum after several players scrambled for the ball. As Casey Kelly officially gets the assist on that goal to Amara Moss. And the Pioneers here a little sloppy with the ball. Tusculum's turned the ball over several times in this matchup, nearly turned it over there. As Malone now with Moss defending, tries to rocket one inside to Elliott of the Pioneers, and Elliott gets it underway. That's a whistle against Lincoln Memorial's Mackenzie Eads. As for Tusculum, the Pioneers will look to score, and as they are now face a 3-1 deficit off the goal from Amara Moss just a few moments ago. Another shot on goal attempt is no good. Another shot attempt is no good, but the third time is a charm for Tusculum as the Pioneers score and make it now 3-2. As not quite sure who that Pioneer was who scored inside there, but nonetheless it's now 3-2 Lincoln Memorial. With 15:51 to go here in the first half. Again, just moments after a Lincoln Memorial goal, Tusculum responds on the other end. As with 15:51 to go, it's now 3-2. So just a few seconds after Kennedy Beechner scores for Lincoln Memorial, Rachel Holmes makes it 2-1 in favor of Lincoln Memorial. And then when Amara Moss scores minutes later, the Pioneers respond yet again just a few moments after a LMU goal. And it's now 3-2 Lincoln Memorial as Tusculum wins the ensuing draw control. As that goal officially does go to Rachel Holmes, as that's her second goal of the contest, the only 2 goals scored by the Pioneers thus far in the game. Holmes scored her first goal with 21 minutes and 10 seconds to go in the first half, and she just knocked through her second of the game with 15:51 remaining in the opening period. As we are at the halfway point here from Harrogate, Tennessee, as Lincoln Memorial battles Tusculum in South Atlantic Conference action. Lady Rail Splitters looking for their second conference victory of the season, while the Pioneers look for SAC victory number 3. Tusculum with 2 conference victories against Brevard and Newberry. As there's another goal by Tusculum. As I was mentioning, I believe that was Malone for Tusculum, who has now evened the score at 3 apiece. With exactly 15 minutes to go in the half, we are dead at the halfway point here in the opening period, and it's now 3-3. As again, I believe that was Madison Malone for Tusculum, number 13. Yes, it was the junior midfielder from North Carolina. She becomes the second Pioneer to score on the afternoon, and now the score is all evened up at 3 goals apiece. Lincoln Memorial and Tusculum now, as as it's dead even now with halfway through the first period, and it's all knotted up as Casey Kelly takes the draw control for LMU, as the Pioneers had won, I believe, the previous two. As Kelly will give it over to Jasmine Klick, who finds Amara Moss. Moss over to Zoe Zervos from the left side, crosses down the middle. Her shot attempt is good, and we did not stay tied for very long as Zoe Zervos scores her first goal of the contest for Lincoln Memorial, and it's now 4-3 Lady Rail Splitters. With 14:37 to go in the contest, the offense is picking up as both sides firing on all cylinders, as it's now 4-3 Lincoln Memorial, just 23 seconds after Madison Malone scores for the Pioneers. Zoe Zervos notches her first goal of the contest, as she scored one on Saturday against Queens, and she now has one this afternoon against Tusculum, as it's 4-3 Lady Rail Splitters. Both sides trading goals back and forth, as the Lady Rail Splitters have raced out to, now back out to a one-goal advantage. Tusculum wins the draw control, as that was Sierra Haas of Tusculum, as the Pioneers nearly answered right back at Lincoln Memorial. Shot on goal attempt was no good. Saved by Shannon Novak of LMU. And Lincoln Memorial nearly loses the ball at midfield, and they are going to turn the ball over, as this will be Savannah Elliott of the Pioneers. And Tusculum nearly turns the ball over again. And they officially do turn it over, as the persistent defense by Jenny Shorling causes the mishap on the offensive end for the Pioneers. And now Lincoln Memorial's Shannon Novak, the goalie, will fire one away at midfield to Zoe Zervos. Zervos, who just scored a moment ago at the 14:37 mark here in the first half, gives off to Casey Kelly on the left side. Kelly with number 25, Haley Sanders, defending of the Pioneers. Shot was no good that time, saved by the goalie for Tusculum, as another nice save that time by the Pioneers, and the score remains 4-3 Lincoln Memorial. Lady Rail Splitters trying to grab their second South Atlantic Conference victory of the season, as this is their third home conference game. They faced Wingate, or actually their fourth, as they faced Wingate, Lenore Ryan, and Queens previously here from the LMU Lacrosse complex. As the Pioneers now on the offensive end for Tusculum, down by one, as it's 4-3 Lady Rail Splitters, as Malone now on the right side. Malone scored the third goal of the contest for the Pioneers, which came exactly at the 15-minute mark here in the first half. As Claire Stanton for the Pioneers fires it over to the right side of the goal, as she gave it off to Haley Bartlett. She finds Sierra Haas down the middle, as Haas's shot is no good, deflected by Lincoln Memorial. And Tusculum looks like will stay on the offensive end, and they will with Claire Stanton, the sophomore defender. Stanton with Zervos defending for Lincoln Memorial. Gives to Haley Bartlett of the Pioneers. Bartlett with Blyden defending of Lincoln Memorial. Gives off to Brittany Lowry of Tusculum, as Shannon Novak just takes the ball away for LMU. And Lincoln Memorial will now attack on the other end. Novak gives to Jasmine Klick, who finds Jenny Shorling at midfield. Shorling racing past the defense, gives to Amar Moss, who gives to Jesse Graham on the right side, and Graham's pass is turned over as the goalie there for Tusculum saved it for the Pioneers. And Tusculum's going to take it the other way off the takeaway. As Tusculum now going the other way with Malone, with Casey Kelly bumping her at midfield. She gets past the defender. Malone now being checked by Zoe Zervos, who gives over to Sierra Haas. Haas gives back over to Malone. And the Pioneers looking to set up their offense down by 1. It's 4-3 Lady Rail Splitters. Lincoln Memorial, who's coming off that 24-5 defeat at the hands of Queens last Saturday, looking to grab their second South Atlantic Conference victory on the season. Their first conference win in program history came earlier in the year, as that was on the road against Newberry. As LMU is going to try and grab their first home conference win in school history, but not if Savannah Elliott has anything to say about it for Tusculum, as Elliott knocks through her first goal of the contest, and we are back tied in this one as it's 4-4. With 9 minutes and 57 seconds remaining here in the first half, Elliott for the Pioneers evens things back up as it is 4-4 here, as it was Malone who tied things up at 3 apiece with exactly 15 minutes to go. And now it was Savannah Elliott, the junior attacker from Ontario, Canada, who evens it up at 4-4, just under 10 minutes to go here in the first half. It's now been back and forth, neither team able to grab an offensive run, as Lincoln Memorial opened the contest with 2 consecutive goals. And since then, it's been back and forth with neither side really being able to grab a ton of offensive momentum, as Elliott knocks through her first goal of the contest, which evens the score up at 4 apiece. As this is now Malone for the Pioneers. She gives it off to Brittany Lowry for Tusculum. Lowry defended by Rhiannon Beddington. Lowry gives it over to Haas. Haas, the sophomore attacker from Canton, Georgia. And she's going to try and fire one inside, as it's no good. And Novak, the goalie for Lincoln Memorial, comes all the way out to scoop the ball up and tries to fire one off to Zoe Zervos, and the ball's going to roll out of bounds. It's going to stay with Tusculum. Haley Sanders, the freshman defender for the Pioneers, will resume play as she gives over to Brittany Lowry. Again, our score now is 4-4. Tusculum trying to grab their first lead of the contest, as it was Lincoln Memorial who took a 2-0 advantage early on, nearly 10 minutes into the game. And since then, the offense has picked up, as we've seen 8 combined goals here in the first half. As there's a loose ball, and it's going to be picked up by Tusculum's Lowry, as Sierra Haas gives over to number 22, Haley Bartlett of Tusculum. Bartlett fires one in, a great shot on goal opportunity that time by Elliott. She looked to make it back-to-back goals, as that shot is no good, just wide to the left side. Tusculum will now resume play with Emily Gleason, as Gleason gives back over to Madison Malone. Malone, who has scored once this afternoon. She scored at the 15-minute mark to even the score up at 3-3, and we've seen 2 goals since that point by Zoe Zervos and Savannah Elliott. One by Lincoln Memorial and one by Tusculum, and that's where we currently stand at 4 apiece, as Casey Kelly causes the turnover, as it's going to be a whistle against Malone for swiping Kelly off of that turnover, and she's going to have to head to the sideline. As we await the signal from the officials to resume play, as Casey Kelly will lead the offensive charge for Lincoln Memorial. She gives off to Kennedy Beechner, who finds Rachel Bernhardt. Bernhardt pass a little bit too high for Beechner, as there's still a loose ball. Several players vying for the ball, and it's going to be eventually scooped up by Casey Kelly of LMU. And the Lady Rail Splitters will retain possession with the score knotted up at 4 apiece. Kelly inside, gives off to Amara Moss, who had a great look at her second goal of the contest, and it bounces off the right post. The shot is no good for Moss. Moss over to Jasmine Click, who finds Casey Kelly. Kelly over to Jesse Graham on the left side for the Lady Rail Splitters. Pass inside from Casey Kelly to Rachel Bernhardt leads to a score for Lincoln Memorial, and we are tied no longer as Bernhardt makes it 5-4 Lincoln Memorial off the great feed from Casey Kelly. With 6 minutes, 56 seconds to go in the first half. Bernhardt's goal comes nearly 3 minutes after Elliott's goal for Tusculum, even the score at 4 apiece. And it's now 5-4 as Casey Kelly found Rachel Bernhardt, who has stretched the advantage back out to 1. It's 5-4 LMU as we are under 7 minutes to play here in the first half of play. I believe that is Casey Kelly's second assist of the game, as she assisted on a goal earlier from Lincoln Memorial. And she provides the assist here to Bernhardt, as Rachel Bernhardt, the freshman attacker from Louisville, Kentucky, notches her first goal of the contest, and it's 5-4 Lincoln Memorial. As Tusculum's Madison Malone was called for the penalty there on the draw control, and Lincoln Memorial will take it over the other way on the offensive possession. As LMU's Kennedy Beechner, who scored her only goal of the contest earlier on, as the only player here in this contest for either side that has more than one goal is Rachel Holmes for the Pioneers. It's been a balanced attack for Lincoln Memorial, 5 goals from 5 different players, as it has been Click, Beechner, Moss, Zervos, and Bernhardt for the Lady Rail Splitters, providing the 5 goals for Lincoln Memorial, as the Lady Rail Splitters have already matched their total for the entire contest against the Royals last Saturday, as the Pioneers will now take over on offense, trailing by 1 as we approach the final minutes here in the first half of play. And it's been a close one throughout the entire first 30 minutes. And Tusculum's going to go the other way with a shot opportunity, no good, as the Pioneers had a great look there. Coming off the other way, quickly racing past midfield. They had the advantage, couldn't capitalize on it, however. And Tusculum will retain possession, but then they will turn the ball over to Jasmine Click of LMU. As Click will be set to resume play. Click, who got the scoring underway for both squads here, as she scored nearly 3 minutes into the contest. As she finds over to Shannon Novak, the goalie for Lincoln Memorial, and she'll fire one all the way past midfield, intended for Jesse Graham of LMU. Graham's going to scoop it up and give it over to Amara Moss. Moss, who has 1 goal on the afternoon, came at the 16:35 mark in the first half. She's going to try and make it 2 goals on the day. Couldn't get a good look at the goal, so instead she finds a teammate over, Kennedy Beechner, on the left side. As it was 27-on-27 that time, Beechner being defended by Jordan Smith of Tusculum, as Rachel Bernhardt, who scored the last goal of the contest for LMU, nearly loses the ball, scoops it up, gives to Casey Kelly. Kelly defended by Brittany Lowry of the Pioneers. Trying to work her way past the defender, gives off to Jasmine Click, who's being defended by Rachel Holmes. Holmes with 2 goals on the day for Tusculum. And that's going to be a whistle against Zoe Zervos of Lincoln Memorial. And the freshman midfielder is going to have to head to the sideline. As we are waiting to resume play, and that's going to bring us to a timeout here. And we're going to take it with him here on the LMU Sports Network as Lincoln Memorial leads Tusculum 5-4. As we're going to take a quick 1-minute break. Back after this on the LMU Sports Network. Officially, that penalty against Zoe Zervos is going to go down as a dangerous follow-through. As a shot attempt from Zervos that time was, as the official signaled, it was a dangerous follow-through. And Lady Rail Splitters retain this 5-4 advantage off of Rachel Bernhardt's goal, which came with 6:56 to go in the first half. As we are approaching the 2-minute mark here in the opening period, as it's been back and forth to say the least, as neither team has really been able to get out on a scoring run, as it's been kind of back and forth here throughout the last few minutes. As it is 5-4 LMU as we approach the end of the first half, and the Pioneers will take the ball over on the offensive side following the yellow card against Zoe Zervos. As Tusculum's Emily Gleason crosses the ball past midfield, she's going to look to take it all the way herself, and shot attempt is no good to the left side. As Gleason looked to do it all herself on that offensive possession for the Pioneers. Nonetheless, Tusculum will retain on the offensive side. As for the Pioneers, there's another shot opportunity for Tusculum, as again no good. As there's another stoppage of play by the official, as several players were scrambling for the ball near the goal. Again, our score is 5-4 Lincoln Memorial as Tusculum resumes play off of the whistle from the official. As for the Pioneers, there's a shot, successful shot on goal attempt from Tusculum, and we are back tied again as it's now 5-5. With 3 minutes 19 seconds to go here in the first half, we are now tied yet again, as it has just been back and forth throughout the past few minutes here in the first half. As that was a somewhat long offensive possession for the Pioneers here in this contest, as that goal coming from Tusculum has evened the score yet again, as it was tied at 3-3, and then it was tied at 4-4, and now we are back evened up again at 5-5. It's just been an up and down first half for both squads, as Tusculum bangs one through to make it a 5-5 score here from Harrogate, Tennessee, as Amara Moss wins the draw control for LMU. Officially, that goal comes to Savannah Elliott of Tusculum, who got an assist from Emily Gleason of the Pioneers, and that goes down as Elliott's second goal of the contest. So Elliott has 2 goals for the Pioneers with 9:57, and just a moment ago with 3:19 to go in the first half, as she joins Rachel Holmes as the 2 Pioneers that have more than 1 goal on the afternoon. This is going to be a whistle against Lincoln Memorial, And it's going to be against Kennedy Beechner. And the Pioneers are going to take it the other way off the turnover. Again, with our score knotted up at 5 apiece. Here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex, Lady Rail Splitters trying to improve to 4-7 on the season, as they've got their work cut out for them here, as we are nearly one half in the books, and it is even at 5 apiece. As there's another stoppage of play by the official. As again, for the Lady Rail Splitters, 5 goals from 5 different players from Lincoln Memorial. It's been Jasmine Click, Kennedy Beechner, Amara Moss, Zoe Zervos, and Rachel Bernhardt for Lincoln Memorial, providing the scoring for LMU. And on the other side, for the Pioneers, it has been Rachel Holmes, who scored 2, and Savannah Elliott, who scored 2 of her own. And finally, it was Madison Malone, who notched 1 with exactly 15 minutes to go in the first half. And that's where we stand at 5-5 here in this South Atlantic Conference matchup between Lincoln Memorial and Tusculum. As it's been back and forth here, as it's been LMU and then Tusculum, and LMU and Tusculum just back and forth here scoring goals. Neither team able to grab a run here, with the exception of the first 2 goals of the contest scored by Lincoln Memorial nearly 10 minutes into the contest. As for the Pioneers, they're going to look to slow it down somewhat to try and get one last goal before the end of the first half, as we are now officially 2 minutes to go in the first half. As there's a whistle against Lincoln Memorial's Amara Moss. And possession will stay with the Pioneers. As Tusculum here now on the left side of the goal with number 18, Savannah Elliott. Elliott, who knocked the first, the 4th and the 5th goal, rather, for Tusculum. She scored the last goal of the contest just a few moments ago at the 3:19 mark here in the opening period. As now for Tusculum again, slowing the offense down somewhat as we are under 2 minutes to go in this first half, with the score knotted at 5 apiece. As there's another whistle against LMU. Tusculum will stay on the offensive end, and there's a shot opportunity from Haley Bartlett that was swiped by the Lincoln Memorial defense. As there's a loose ball, it's going to be scooped up. Well, several players were trying to grab position of the ball. It's eventually going to stay with the Pioneers, as Madison Malone will take a crack at the goal with Rachel Holmes, as Holmes now on the left side being swiped at by the defender. And there's another whistle against Lincoln Memorial, as that's going to be a yellow card going against number 10, Rhiannon Beddington, the freshman defender. As she will head to the sideline, and we are going to resume play again with our score knotted at 5 apiece. Emily Gleason for the Pioneers will look to score, and she does. And Tusculum grabs their first lead of the contest after Emily Gleason notches her first goal of the game, and it's now 6-5 in favor of the Pioneers. With exactly 46 seconds left to go in the first half, Gleason grabs the first lead of the game for Tusculum, as it took them almost the entire first half to grab this lead, and it's now 6-5 Pioneers. As they've been down, they were not down by more than 2, as it was 2-0 Lincoln Memorial, and since then it was both teams going back and forth, and the Pioneers have now grabbed the 6-5 lead, as with exactly 46 seconds to go in the opening period of play in the South Atlantic Conference matchup, as Gleason wins the draw control for Tusculum just moments after providing the tie-breaking goal. As there's a turnover by Tusculum, as that was Haley Bartlett, who's going to give the ball over to Lincoln Memorial's Mackenzie Eads, as she goes over to Shannon Novak, as Lincoln Memorial is going to have to try and score quickly here before the end of the first half, as they now trail for the first time in this contest. It's 6-5 Tusculum. Novak's pass intended for Rhiannon Beddington is intercepted by Tusculum, and the Pioneers now looking to possibly even go up 2 before the end of the first half. As that shot is no good, saved by Shannon Novak, and that will bring us to the end of the first half. So after 30 minutes of play, Tusculum leads Lincoln Memorial by the score of 6-5, thanks to Emily Gleason's goal, coming with 46 seconds to go in the opening period, and it's now 6-5 Tusculum. When we return from this short break, we'll go over your halftime scoring summary. And so stay tuned as you're listening to the LMU Sports Network. Welcome back to the LMU Lacrosse Complex and Lincoln Memorial University, where the Lady Rail Splitters, after leading for the majority of that first half, they now trail by 1 entering the halftime break. It is 6-5 in favor of the Tusculum Pioneers. As your halftime scoring summary, it was Jasmine Click, the sophomore midfielder, who got things started at the 27-23 mark here in the opening period. Nearly 3 minutes in, Jasmine Click made it 1-0 Lady Rail Splitters, as then Kennedy Beechner made it 2-0 Lincoln Memorial at the 21-51 mark. So nearly 10 minutes into the game, it was 2-0 in favor of Lincoln Memorial, as then the Pioneers finally got on the board with Rachel Holmes, and that came at the 21-10 mark, just moments after Kennedy Beechner's first goal of the contest. Then it was Amara Moss at the 16:35 mark, notching her first goal of the game, and that pushed the advantage out to 3-1 Lincoln Memorial. And then just a few seconds later, it was Holmes who scored her second goal of the contest for Tusculum, and that one came at the 15:51 mark, as that made the advantage 3-2 Lady Rail Splitters. As then it was Madison Malone for Tusculum who scored at exactly the 15-minute mark. That evened the score up at 3 apiece. And then it was Zoe Zervos for the Lady Rail Splitters with 14:37 remaining. Zervos made it 4-3 Lincoln Memorial. As then it was for Tusculum, it was Savannah Elliott for the Pioneers with 9:57 to go, evening the score up at 4-4. As Rachel Bernhardt scored the last goal of the opening half for Lincoln Memorial, as Bernhardt knocked one through with 6:56 to go in the opening half. Then Savannah Elliott scored her second goal of the contest with 3:19 to go in the opening period. And finally, Emily Gleason for the Pioneers gives Tusculum the lead with just 46 seconds to go in the first half, and that is where we stand, as it is 6-4 in favor of the Pioneers. Folks, if you're just joining us, want to let you know that the LMU softball and baseball teams are both in action this afternoon, as the softball team is just about set to get underway for Game 1 of their doubleheader on the road against the Pioneers of Tusculum College. As at 2 o'clock will be first pitch for Game 1, followed by Game 2, getting underway at 4 o'clock, as the Lady Rail Splitters softball team is on the road at Tusculum. And the Rail Splitter baseball team is also going to be on the road, as they are in Bristol at the moment, taking on King University for a one-and-done matchup. And they're going to head off. They're going to face Tusculum on the road as well this coming weekend. So Lincoln Memorial facing Tusculum in men's lacrosse, women's lacrosse, softball, and baseball over the next few days. And finally, the LMU men's volleyball team is going to be in action tonight at 7 o'clock for the 2017 debut regular season finale, as they're going to be in Dayton, Tennessee, taking on Bryan College. So it is a full Wednesday of Rail Splitter athletics, as we are in the midst of this doubleheader for lacrosse. And then men's volleyball tonight, followed by LMU baseball and softball. And to keep up with all of those athletics, as always, you can log on to www.lmurailsplitters.com, as we're going to take one more quick break here before we begin our second half of play between the Lady Rail Splitters and the Pioneers, as we're going to mute the mics here, and I will come back to open the second half of play between the Lady Rail Splitters and the Pioneers of Tusculum College, as you're watching the LMU Sports Network. Welcome back to Harrogate, Tennessee, where we are just about set to resume or get underway the second half of play between the Lady Rail Splitters and the Pioneers of Tusculum College, as Tusculum leads Lincoln Memorial by the score of 6-5 after 30 minutes of play, as it was Emily Gleason, the freshman midfielder from Brentwood, Tennessee, who knocked in her first goal of the afternoon. As there was only 46 seconds to go in that opening half to give the Pioneers their first lead of the game. And despite the Lady Rail Splitters' balanced attack on offense, they trail it 6-5, as it's been Jasmine Click, Kennedy Beechner, Amara Moss, Zoe Zervos, and Rachel Bernhardt for the Lady Rail Splitters, providing the 5 goals for Lincoln Memorial. So 5 goals from 5 different players. As for the Pioneers on the other side, it has been 2 goals from Rachel Holmes and 2 goals also from Savannah Elliott, as 1 goal from Madison Malone and 1 goal from Emily Gleason, as that is the 6 goals from the Pioneers, and that's where we stand as it's 6-5 Tusculum, as we are just about set to get the second half underway here in this South Atlantic Conference matchup, as Casey Kelly and Madison Malone will get the opening draw control of the second half underway, and it is going to be won by Tusculum's Emily Gleason, who again scored with just 46 seconds to go in the first half to give the Pioneers their first lead of the game. And the Pioneers will get the opening offensive possession of the second half, leading by 1. As for Tusculum, this is Savannah Elliott, who already has 2 goals on the afternoon. Elliott being checked hard by the Lincoln Memorial defender. She's going to give to Madison Malone on the right side. Malone with Amara Moss defending, and looked like Malone was caught in the face, as that's going to be a yellow card against Amara Moss, as that was an inadvertent check to the head that time by Moss. And Malone will resume play for Tusculum. Malone, the junior midfielder from Maple Grove, Minnesota. As Malone now with her team up by 1, it's 6-5 Tusculum. As despite trailing for the majority of the first half, the Pioneers now lead it by 1, and they now lead it by 2, as Savannah Elliott scores her 3rd goal of the contest, and Tusculum now finds themselves with a 2-goal advantage over Lincoln Memorial, as Elliott now makes it 7-5 Pioneers. As we are not even a minute into the first half here, as that goal by Elliott, the 3rd goal of the game by Elliott, comes at the 29-18 mark here in the second half. And so Tusculum picks up right where they left off, as it is now going back to the first half. It's now a 3-0 run, Pioneers, as the last goal for the Lady Rail Splitters came by Bernhardt of Lincoln Memorial with 6:56 to go in the first half, and since then it's been 3 consecutive goals by Tusculum, and the Pioneers now hold a 7-5 advantage over the Lady Rail Splitters. So the first offensive possession of the second half results in a score for Tusculum. As face-off between Casey Kelly and Madison Malone is getting ready to commence here with the Pioneers again. They are in the midst of a 3-0 run over Lincoln Memorial, and they now lead it by 2, as they were trailing by 1, and all of a sudden they lead it 7-5. Draw control between Kelly and Malone is won by Lincoln Memorial's Amara Moss, as Moss gives off to Heather Roach on the left side of the goal. Roach to Kelly down the middle, as Kelly looks to trim the deficit. It's going to be a whistle against the Pioneers. Kelly, the sophomore midfielder from Ellenwood, Georgia. She's going to try and give the Lady Rail Splitters their 6th goal of the afternoon, and she does! Casey Kelly now scores her 1st goal of the game, and we are just underway here in the second half, and we have already seen 2 goals here in the second half. It's now 7-6 Pioneers with 28:59. So we are 1 minute and 1 second into the second half, and we have already seen 2 goals here in the second period, as the offense has not slowed down one bit, as it's now 7-6 Tusculum off of Casey Kelly's first goal of the game. She scored early on in the first half, and that goal was wiped out by the official, and Kennedy Beechner went on to score a few moments later. But now Casey Kelly officially gets her first goal of the game, so it's now 6 goals by LMU from 6 different players. It's been an efficient, balanced scoring attack for this young Lady Rail Splitter squad, and it's now 7-6 Pioneers. Again, just underway in the second half. We've already seen 2 goals as Savannah Elliott with the game leading 3 goals for the Pioneers, and Amara Moss looks to make it a 3rd goal in the half, and she does. Amara Moss scores for Lincoln Memorial, as that's Moss's 2nd goal of the game, and we now have 3 goals in the second half, and now we are tied yet again, as it's now 7-7 with 28 minutes and 31 seconds to go here in the second half. We are just a minute and a half into the second half, and we have already seen 3 combined goals here. As 1 goal from Savannah Elliott of Tusculum, and now all the momentum that the Pioneers had grabbed on that 3-0 run is now shifting towards the Lady Rail Splitters' favor, as Casey Kelly and Amara Moss have now scored back-to-back goals for the Lady Rail Splitters, as the 2 goals from Kelly and Moss come just 28 seconds apart from each other. And we are now knotted up at 7 goals apiece. As again, we are just a minute and a half into this second period, and we've already seen 3 goals as Lincoln Memorial's Jasmine Click wins the ensuing draw control. As again, that is Amara Moss. Moss becomes the first Lady Rail Splitter to score more than 1 goal in the afternoon, as she notched her first goal with 16:35 to go in the first half, and she just notched through her second one. And the Pioneers nearly turned the ball over on the other end, as Emily Gleason, who scored right at the end of the first half, is going to try her 2nd of the game, as she lost the ball before the shot on goal attempt that time. As Malone being swiped at by Casey Kelly, still trying to maintain possession, and she eventually will, off the nice defense by LMU. As Emily Gleason now behind the goal, with the score knotted up at 7 apiece, as the offense here in the second half has just been electric from both sides. As the Pioneers rode a 3-0 lead to grab a 7-5, or a 3-0 run rather, to grab that 7-5 advantage, and since then it's now 7-7. As Lincoln Memorial scores back-to-back goals by Casey Kelly and Amara Moss to even the score up here from Harrogate, Tennessee in the LMU Lacrosse Complex. Lincoln Memorial is going to take it off the turnover with Heather Roach. Roach is going to look to score herself, and a tremendous save that time by the Pioneers goalie, number 33, Brooke Wagner, the junior from Snellville, Georgia. And the Pioneers will take it the other way off the terrific save from Wagner. Again, 7-7 your score here from Harrogate, Tennessee. Also want to mention to you now that the LMU Lady Rail Splitters softball teams Game 1 of the doubleheader against the Pioneers of Tusculum has now gotten underway. As you can follow that action over on the live stats on www.lmurailsplitters.com. As the Lady Rail Splitters softball team and the Rail Splitter baseball team is in action throughout the afternoon, with the Lincoln Memorial men's volleyball team also in action later this evening. As meanwhile here on the lacrosse field, Savannah Elliott scores her 4th goal of the contest for Tusculum, and the Pioneers retake the advantage as they now lead it 8-7 over Lincoln Memorial on Elliott's 4th goal of the game. 26 minutes and 34 seconds to go here in the second half, as we went almost 2 minutes without a goal here in the second half and couldn't quite go that length, as Savannah Elliott again notches her 4th goal of the game, as she put in 2 goals in the first half with 9:57 to go and 3:19 to go in the opening period, and she's already equaled that total here in the second half of play, as she scored the first goal of the second period with 29:18 on the clock, and she now scores her 4th goal total in this game. That came with 26:34 to go, and it's now 8-7 in favor of the Pioneers. As Malone officially gets the assist on that goal to Elliott. Again, Elliott with a game-leading 4 goals, and she nearly just notched her 5th goal of the game as Novak was able to save that one for Lincoln Memorial, as Elliott, again, nearly grabbed goal number 5 on the game and nearly pushed that advantage back out to 2. But nonetheless, Jasmine Click running the other way for Lincoln Memorial, faces a wall of defenders, and she's going to have to reset the offense for the Lady Rail Splitters. As shot attempt is no good for Lincoln Memorial. Lady Rail Splitters trailing by 1. Lincoln Memorial trying to grab that 2nd conference win of the season. Their lone SAC victory on the year came on the road against the Wolves of Newberry. As Rachel Bernhardt now on the left side of the goal fires one over to Heather Roach, as we've already seen 4 combined goals here in the second half from both teams, as Roach goes behind her to Casey Kelly, as Kelly with Zoe Zervos now on the right side. Lincoln Memorial slowing the pace down somewhat here on this offensive possession, as it's been just all offense here in the second half of play, as Casey Kelly now on the left side of the goal. Kelly with Jordan Smith defending of the Pioneers. Finds Heather Roach. Roach has not scored thus far in this outing. She notched 2 goals on Saturday against the Royals of Queens University, as she's been held in check thus far in this one. As Lady Rail Splitters still on the offensive side of the ball with Casey Kelly. Again, Smith defending her. Kelly trying to shake Smith. She does. Shot on goal opportunity. The shot attempt is saved again by Wagner. Lincoln Memorial will retain possession with Rachel Bernhardt. Bernhardt, who has 1 goal on the afternoon. That came at the 6:56 mark in the first half, as the Rail Splitters find themselves trailing by 1 thanks to 4 goals from Savannah Elliott on the day from the Pioneers. Casey Kelly leading the offensive charge for LMU. Finds Jasmine Click, who spins past Jordan Smith and scores, as Click becomes the 2nd Lady Rail Splitter to notch more than 1 goal on the afternoon. But more importantly, the score is tied yet again, as Jasmine Click scores and makes it 8-8, as we are tied yet again. Just back and forth we go here from Harrogate. With 23 minutes and 53 seconds to go in the second half, it is our 5th goal of the second half, as we have 3 goals from LMU and 2 goals from Tusculum here in the second period of play, and it is 8-8, as neither team can just grab that huge advantage, as perhaps look for Tusculum to score this next goal, as neither squad can really grab a run a scoring run to run away from the other team, if you will, as it's been Casey Kelly, Amara Moss, and Jasmine Click in the second half alone, as Click joins Moss as the 2 Lady Rail Splitters with 2 goals on the afternoon. And it is now 8-8 here from the LMU soccer complex, or the lacrosse complex rather. Lady Rail Splitters have played on both fields thus far on the season, and looks like they're going to be on the lacrosse field hopefully for the remainder of the year, as Tusculum now is on the offensive side following the 2nd goal of the game from Click, as this is number 18 for the Pioneers, Savannah Elliott, who has been the offensive star for Tusculum. She has 4 goals on the day, 2 in the first half and 2 in the second. As for Tusculum, this is Bailey Lowry, number 24 for the Pioneers, trying to spin past Jasmine Click, and she tried to fire one inside to another Pioneer, as we have a loose ball. Great defense by Lincoln Memorial. It's going to eventually be scooped up by Tusculum as several players hit the floor. As there's a whistle, and it's going to go the other way with Lincoln Memorial. Just great defense that time by the Lady Rail Splitters to not allow Tusculum to get the look that they wanted on that possession. As Jasmine Click races past midfield for the Lady Rail Splitters. Click fires one over to Amara Moss. Pass a little bit behind her, but Moss scoops it up anyway. Moss with 2 goals on the afternoon gives over to Casey Kelly, who scored her first of the afternoon early on in the second half. Again, 8-8 our score here between LMU and Tusculum. Again, Lincoln Memorial on this offensive possession, as it was Jasmine Click who scored last for the Lady Rail Splitters at the 23:53 mark in the second half. And Amara Moss trying to spin past the defender for the Pioneers. He's going to give over to Casey Kelly. Again, Lincoln Memorial slowing the pace down, and it worked for them on the last possession as Click was able to score off of a long offensive play for the Lady Rail Splitters. As Kelly tried to rocket one inside and save that time by the Pioneers. And Brooke Wagner will pick it up, the goalie for Tusculum. As we're all knotted up at 8 games apiece. And Wagner's pass intercepted by Zervos, and Zervos scores. Tremendous play that time by Zoe Zervos. And Zervos scores her second goal of the game. Of defense leads to offense for Lincoln Memorial. And the Lady Rail Splitters retake the lead as it's now 9-8 Lincoln Memorial. As that goal from Zervos comes with 21:21 to go in the second half. Zoe Zervos notches her second goal of the game. She becomes the third Lady Rail Splitter to score 2 goals on the game, as she joins Mara Moss and Jasmine Click as the 3 Lady Rail Splitters with 2 goals apiece. As the Lady Rail Splitters have now retaken the lead, as this is their first lead since Rachel Bernhardt made it 5-4 at the 6:56 mark in the first half. And since then, the score has either been tied or the Pioneers have taken the advantage. But Zoe Zervos changes that. The freshman midfielder from Ithaca, New York, makes it 9-8 Lincoln Memorial. And the ensuing draw control is won by the Lady Rail Splitters is Amara Moss. And just as she won that draw control, Gleason for the Pioneers took the ball away for Lincoln Memorial as Tusculum stopped the ball from going out of bounds. A terrific save that time by Haley Bartlett of the Pioneers to maintain possession. And Gleason fires one into Elliott, and Elliott's shot wide to the left side. Elliott looked to score her 5th goal of the contest. And the Pioneers will retain possession, up 9-8 over the Lady Rail Splitters. Or they trailed 9-8 rather, as Lincoln Memorial's Zoe Zervos retook the lead for Lincoln Memorial just a moment ago. As for Tusculum, this is Bailey Lowry being swiped at by the defender Mackenzie Eads of Lincoln Memorial. Fires one across the field to Eliza Ryan of the Pioneers. Tusculum now trailing by 1 to Lincoln Memorial. Shot attempt that time was no good. It nearly went, as Shannon Novak will scoop the loose ball up for Lincoln Memorial, and the Rail Splitters will take it to the other side of the field, up by 1, as Amara Moss's pass across the field is to Casey Kelly, and Kelly finds Beechner, who finds Jasmine Click, who scores her 3rd goal of the day, as it is now a 3-0 run, Lincoln Memorial, as Jasmine Click scores her 2nd of the game, and the Lady Rail Splitters now lead the Pioneers 10-8 with 19:52 to go. 2 goals from Zoe Zervos and Jasmine Click coming just moments apart, and that's going to lead us to a timeout on the field, and we will take it with them. With 19 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in the second half, LMU leads Tusculum 10-8. You're watching the LMU Sports Network. Just over 10 minutes have gone in this second half, and we have seen 7 combined goals in this second period as the offense has picked up where it left off, as the Lady Rail Splitters have now retaken that 2-goal lead that they had early on in the contest, as they lead the Pioneers 10-8 thanks to Jasmine Click's 3rd goal of the afternoon, which came at the 19:52 mark, which is where we are right now here at the LMU Lacrosse Complex, as the Lady Rail Splitters have now taken a 3-0 run, as Jenny Shorling for the Lady Rail Splitters wins the draw control for LMU. She's going to give it over to Heather Roach on the left side. Roach over to Kennedy Beechner, as the Lady Rail Splitters got a terrific advantage in the numbers that time that led to Beechner assisting on Click's 3rd goal of the contest. As Zoe Zervo scoops up the loose ball for Lincoln Memorial. Again, Lady Rail Splitters now lead this one 10-8. They trailed just about a minute into the second half. They trailed the Pioneers 7-5, and since then they now lead it 10-8 off of 3 consecutive LMU goals, 2 by Jasmine Click and 1 by Zoe Zervos. Click now leads the Lady Rail Splitters with 3 goals on the day, as Savannah Elliott is the leader for the Pioneers, as she has 4 goals for Tusculum, as Amara Moss's shot on goal attempt is no good to the left side. Lady Rail Splitters again slowing the pace down here on the offensive end, and that has led to a lot of success thus far here in the second half, as again they lead Tusculum 10-8, trying to grab South Atlantic Conference win number 2 on the season. As Beechner kicks one out to Heather Roach, who finds Zoe Zervos, who scored moments ago at the 21-21 mark in the second half. Casey Kelly trying to shake Madison Malone of the Pioneers. She does so. However, her shot on goal opportunity is no good, saved by Brooke Wagner of Tusculum. Wagner gives over to Rachel Holmes. Holmes racing past a couple Lady Rail Splitter defenders as she gets it past midfield. Holmes scored 2 goals in quick succession in the first half. She has been quiet since that point, as Holmes' first 2 goals came at the 21-10 and the 15-51 mark in the opening period of play. And the Pioneers are going to need more of that quick offense if they're going to come back in this one. However, the way the offense has been going in this half, doesn't seem like that will be too difficult, as Lincoln Memorial leads 10-8 here with plenty of time remaining in this second half. And off of the turnover by Tusculum, Shannon Novak will fire a pass across the field to Zoe Zervos, who takes it past midfield across the Lincoln Memorial sideline. And Zervos is going to look to push it and couldn't get the number, so instead gives to Rachel Bernhardt on the left side, with LMU leading 10-8 over the Pioneers. And that pass was just out of the reach of the hands of Amara Moss, and Rachel Holmes picks it up for Tusculum, but it's going to be a turnover, and the Pioneers will give it right back to Amara Moss of LMU. Again, be sure to stay tuned here on the LMU Sports Network. Following the conclusion of this contest, the LMU men's lacrosse team will be in action, also against the Pioneers of Tusculum College in Game 2 of this South Atlantic Conference doubleheader on the LMU Sports Network. As the Lady Rail Splitters looking to win Game 1, and Amara Moss pushes the advantage to 3. It's now the biggest lead of the game for LMU. And Amara Moss, falling down, manages to score anyways, and it's now 11-8 Lady Rail Splitters. With exactly 16 minutes to go in the second half as we are about a minute away from the halfway point of the second period, and the Lady Rail Splitters have found themselves a 3-goal cushion as it is a 4-0 run, Lincoln Memorial, at the 26:34 mark here in the second half. Savannah Elliott made it 8-7 in favor of Tusculum, but since then, 4 consecutive goals by Lincoln Memorial have pushed the advantage out to 3, and the Lady Rail Splitters lead Tusculum 11-8 off of Amara Moss's 3rd goal of the contest. So Moss joins Jasmine Click as the 2 Lady Rail Splitters with 3 goals on the afternoon, as Lincoln Memorial now has their biggest lead of the game as they have a 3-goal advantage over Tusculum, 11-8. Kennedy Beechner off of the draw control victory by Lincoln Memorial, as Lincoln Memorial has really just surprised the Pioneers with their offensive spurt, because the second half began with the Pioneers having a 7-5 advantage. It was Tusculum's biggest lead of the contest, but now here, as we approach the halfway point of the second half, LMU has grabbed their biggest lead of the South Atlantic Conference battle, as Amara Moss's 3rd goal on the afternoon pushed the advantage out to 11-8 Lady Rail Splitters. Zoe Zervos racing past the Tusculum defense, and it's now a 4-goal lead for Lincoln Memorial as Zoe Zervos scores her 3rd goal of the contest, and Lincoln Memorial is starting to run away from the Pioneers as they now lead it 12-8 over Tusculum. As Zervos' goal comes nearly a minute after Amara Moss's goal, as that comes with 15 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the second period, as Zoe Zervos now has 3 goals on the day. She joins Jasmine Click and Amara Moss as the 3 Lady Rail Splitters with 3 goals on the day, as it's been another offensive attack for Lincoln Memorial, as just a few days after only scoring 5 goals against Queens, Lincoln Memorial has thus far put up 12 against the Pioneers, as LMU leads it by 4. They're now, again, their largest lead of the contest. It's 12-8, as it's now a 5-0 run by Lincoln Memorial. And Kennedy Beechner wins yet another draw control for the Lady Rail Splitters, as Lincoln Memorial, however, nearly turns it over. I thought that the ball was going to roll out of bounds. Great effort that time by the Lady Rail Splitters to not turn the ball over. However, they may end up turning the ball over in the end, as yes, they will, as Tusculum's Madison Malone's going to take it the other way for the Pioneers, as all of a sudden Tusculum faces a 12-8 deficit here, as we are in the second half of the second half, and that deficit is now down to 3, as Tusculum's Sierra Haas scores her 1st goal of the game, and it's now 12-9. The offense has just not stopped in this contest, and the deficit is back down to 3. With 14:29 to go in the game, and the Pioneers, off of Sierra Haas's 1st goal of the game, Haas, the sophomore attacker from Canton, Georgia, has now made it a 3-goal advantage for Lincoln Memorial, as the 5-0 run is finally halted. So Haas stops the bleeding, if you will, for Tusculum, as the second half goals have been just as persistent or even more than it was in the first half, as it is now 12-9 Lincoln Memorial. 10 combined goals here in the second half of play, and Lady Rail Splitters now lead Tusculum by 3 as Casey Kelly wins the draw control for the Lady Rail Splitters. Kelly gives over to Heather Roach on the left side. Roach over to Jasmine Click, with Madison Malone defending of the Pioneers. Click, who is one of the 3 Lady Rail Splitters with 3 goals on the afternoon, fires one over to Casey Kelly, who scoops the ball up and races to the left side, over to the middle, tries to spin past the wall of defenders, gives over to Zoe Zervos on the left side, and Zervos It's going to give over to Jasmine Click. Lady Rail Splitters waiting patiently for a good shot on goal opportunity as Click was swiped at by the defender. No call from the official. As there's the whistle from the official. That goes against Haley Sanders of the Pioneers. Again, Lincoln Memorial leading Tusculum by the score of 12-9. Lady Rail Splitters trying to hold on here as Heather Roach looked for her first goal of the contest. Shot opportunity is no good, just wide to the right side. As Jasmine Click retains possession for LMU. Click with Emily Gleason defending of the Pioneers. And it's going to be a whistle against Tusculum. And Click will try and score the 13th goal of the contest for LMU as they lead it 12-9. It's a 3-goal advantage for the Lady Rail Splitters as Kennedy Beechner looks to give over to Heather Roach. Instead, she turns the ball over as Tusculum's Claire Stanton provides the takeaway on the nice defensive play from Stanton, the sophomore defender from Colorado. And Tusculum will take the ball the other way off of the turnover. And even though you didn't get any points for Lincoln Memorial, you took a nice chunk of clock off of the scoreboard. And now the Pioneers weren't able to get the ball past the midfield mark before turning the ball over, and they give the ball right back over to the Lady Rail Splitters. So just what you want if you're Lincoln Memorial, because you know you want to keep this 3-goal lead and not allow another comeback by Tusculum. And now as Lincoln Memorial is on the offensive end, they are in pretty good shape to try and hold off the Pioneers and come away with the W in front of their home crowd in Harrogate, Tennessee. As for the Lady Rail Splitters, again leading 12-9 over Tusculum. Kennedy Beechner gives one over to Heather Roach on the left side. We've seen a little bit of a halt in the action until now, as Heather Roach officially scores her first goal of the game. And just as I mentioned that there hadn't been any scoring in a couple minutes, Heather Roach changes that, and the Lady Rail Splitters advantage has now been pushed back out to 4 as it's 13-9 LMU. 11 minutes, 55 seconds left to go here in the second half. And Heather Roach joins the party for Lincoln Memorial as she scores her first goal of the afternoon. Roach, who had 2 goals last Saturday against the Royals. She had 1 goal in the first half and 2 goals in the second. And Lincoln Memorial now has a 13-9 advantage over Tusculum. So after a 5-0, after 5 unanswered goals by Lincoln Memorial, Sierra Haas momentarily stopped the bleeding for the Pioneers. But now it is a 6-1 run for Lincoln Memorial off of Heather Roach's first goal of the contest. That comes at the 11:55 mark here in the second half. As the ensuing draw control is won by the Pioneers' Brittany Lowry. And Tusculum's going to attack on the offensive possession with Claire Stanton as the Pioneers face a 4-goal deficit as it's 13-9 Lincoln Memorial. Lady Rail Splitters, after trailing by 1 at the halftime break, they quickly trailed by 2, and now they lead by 4, but now it's 3 as Rachel Holmes scores her 3rd goal of the contest for Tusculum. And the scoring is just non-stop here in the second half. Lincoln Memorial cannot, they don't have a lot of time to breathe here as it's now 13-10. They can't be complacent, if you will, as Tusculum has now trimmed the advantage back down to 3. 13-10 Lincoln Memorial with 11:22 to go in the second half as Rachel Holmes scores her 3rd goal of the contest just 33 seconds after Heather Roach scores her first goal of the game, and the advantage is back down to 3. It's 13-10 Lincoln Memorial. as Malone gets the credit for the assist for the Pioneers, as the deficit is back down to 3. As I mentioned, when Holmes scored that goal for Tusculum, Lincoln Memorial, you got to stay efficient on the defensive end, as it's 13-10 now, LMU. Lady Rail Splitters now on the offensive attack. Again, leading this one by 3. As we are coming up on the 10-minute mark here in the second half of play. Lincoln Memorial trying to grab their second South Atlantic Conference victory of the season, as their first came against the Wolves of Newberry on the road in the early days of the 2017 campaign, as Lincoln Memorial's Kennedy Beechner, being harassed by the Tusculum defense, gives one over to Amara Moss of the Lady Rail Splitters. Crossing over to the right side, finds a wide open Zoe Zervos, who scores a beautiful pass from Amara Moss, who rockets one over to Zoe Zervos, and Zervos has her 4th goal of the contest, and the advantage for the Lady Rail Splitters is now back out to 4. It's 14-10 Lincoln Memorial. 10 minutes and 9 seconds to go in the second half. And the advantage just keeps going back and forth from 3 to 4 and from 3 back to 4. And it's 14-10 Lincoln Memorial now. And this extremely high-scoring second half affair, as Lady Rail Splitters have now grabbed a 4-goal advantage off of Zoe Zervos' 4th goal of the contest and her 3rd in the second half. Zervos scored her first goal of the game at the 14:37 mark, and have scored all 3 of her goals in the second half at the 21:21 mark, the 15:09 mark, and now just moments ago at the 10:09 mark. So Zervos' last 2 goals come exactly 5 minutes apart from each other, and the Lady Rail Splitters lead by 4, 14-10 over the Pioneers of Tusculum College. And the Pioneers are going to turn the ball over to Amara Moss. And the Pioneers are not looking to be in the best of shape here, as we are under 10 minutes to go in the second half of play. And the Lady Rail Splitters can smell a victory over Tusculum. And if they can hold on, weather the storm from the Pioneers, then they will grab their 4th overall victory on the season and their 2nd in South Atlantic Conference play. And the Pioneers are going to take over now on the offensive end following the turnover from LMU, as that was Haley Bartlett now on the right side for Tusculum. And this very high-scoring affair, it's 14-10 LMU. As that's going to be a penalty against LMU. And that's going to go against number 10, Rhiannon Beddington, the freshman defender from Indiana. And Sierra Haas will look to score her 2nd of the game. And that shot on goal attempt is a little bit too high. Haas, who scored her only goal in the contest at the 14:29 mark in the second half, the last goal that came, or the second to last goal that came from the Pioneers, as Rachel Holmes banged through her 3rd goal of the game at the 11:22 mark here in the second half. But Zoe Zervos scores at the 10:09 mark to push the advantage out to 14-10 Lady Rail Splitters. As for Lincoln Memorial, they now return to the offensive attack with Kennedy Beechner. Beechner, who has 1 goal on the contest. It was the 2nd goal of the game, as she scored at the 21:51 mark in the first half to make it 2-0 Lincoln Memorial. And the Lady Rail Splitters now tied for their biggest lead of the game at 14-10 over Tusculum. And the Pioneers will now return to the offensive side following the save, as Gleason for the Pioneers races past midfield with Zoe Zervos defending. As Gleason, who scored her only goal of the contest at the 46-second mark in the first half, gives one off to number 2, Eliza Ryan, And she scores for Tusculum, and it's yet another goal for the Pioneers. Ryan scores her first of the game, and that cuts the deficit back to 3. It's now 14-11 in favor of the Lady Rail Splitters. With 7 minutes, 20 seconds to go, there's still plenty of life left. Still plenty of life left inside of the Pioneers, as Lincoln Memorial's deficits back out to 3, as here we go, back and forth again between the two South Atlantic Conference foes here in the final minutes of the second half. Again, 7:20 remains in the second period of play, as Eliza Ryan, the freshman defender from New Jersey, notches her first goal of the contest, and that cuts the deficit down to 14-11, as this has been one of the highest scoring games of the season for Lincoln Memorial, as the ensuing draw control is going to be nearly won by Lincoln Memorial, and it's going to go to Tusculum, as the Lincoln Memorial player there lost their stick, and it's going to go to the Pioneers, as Tusculum's Haley Bartlett will resume play. And there's another whistle from the official against Lincoln Memorial. As for Tusculum, the Pioneers look to make it a 2-goal game, and they do easily with Emily Gleason. Gleason scores her second goal of the contest, and just like that, the Pioneers starting to climb back into this one, as Gleason now makes it a 2-goal game, and it's 14-12 Lincoln Memorial. As with 6:52 remaining, that brings us to a timeout on the field, and we will take it with them here on the LMU Sports Network. Again, 6:52 remains in the second half of play. It's now 14-12 Lady Rail Splitters. Back after this on the LMU Sports Network. The scoring has been hard to keep up with here at the LMU Lacrosse Complex, as with 6 minutes and 52 seconds remaining in this one, there have been a total of 26 goals scored between Lincoln Memorial and Tusculum, as the Lady Rail Splitters lead it 14-12 off of back-to-back goals by the Pioneers is Eliza Ryan and Emily Gleason, as we're just under 7 minutes to go in this one. And the Lady Rail Splitters' 4-point cushion has been reduced to a 2-point advantage, as the ensuing draw control off of the timeout by Lincoln Memorial is won by Tusculum's Gleason, who just scored moments ago. As Gleason finds a Pioneer racing towards the middle of the goal, and she scores. Another Tusculum player scores, and now that pushes the deficit back down to 1. It's 14-13 Lincoln Memorial. 3 unanswered goals by the Pioneers, and just like that, we have a game again. With 6:28 to go, back-to-back goals from the Pioneers that came at the 6:52 mark and now the 6:28 mark, and it's 14-13 Lincoln Memorial. 2 goals from the Pioneers coming just 24 seconds apart from each other, as that's goal number 27 on the afternoon combined by both squads, as it's, again, 14-13. As just a moment ago, it was 14-10 Lincoln Memorial, And the deficit has now been trimmed down to 1. As that was Savannah Elliott, who scored her 5th goal of the contest on the day. Elliott has been the unquestionable leader for the Pioneers. Again, Elliott with a game-high 5 goals on the afternoon, as Elliott had 2 goals in the first half and now 3 in the second. As Elliott scored in the first half with 9:57 and 3:19 to go, and she scored here in the second period with 29:18, 26:34, and now just moments ago at the 6:28 mark to make it a 1-goal advantage for Lincoln Memorial. And here Elliott is yet again looking to score her 6th goal of the game, and she does it. Elliott scores yet again, and just like that, we are tied at 14 apiece. With 5:53 to go in this contest, it is now a huge run here by Tusculum as Elliott scores her 6th goal of the game. And we are tied at 14 all, and there is plenty of lacrosse left to be played here. I mean, my scorecard here sitting at the table is just about full here, as that is goal number 28 on this contest, as Elliott notches her 6th goal on the day. And at the 10:09 mark here in the second half, it was 14-10 Lincoln Memorial, and now it is 14 all, as the 4-goal cushion by Lincoln Memorial has been wiped away in a hurry, as we are under 6 minutes to go in this one. And it is 14-14, just an unbelievable offensive comeback put forth by the Pioneers. And before you can blink, it is 14 all. And the Pioneers now back on the offensive end, and one more goal from Tusculum, and they could retake the lead despite being down 14-10 with just over 10 minutes to go here in the second half. Tusculum turns the ball over at midfield, but the Lady Rail Splitters give it right back over to the Pioneers, as Tusculum's Claire Stanton will resume play with a long outlet pass to number 22, Haley Bartlett. Bartlett on the right side, thought about scoring. She's going to back it out instead, as plenty of Lincoln Memorial defenders were in the way. She's going to give off to Brittany Lowry of the Pioneers. Again, we are now tied at 14-14. It's been an unbelievable offensive show in this contest, as most of Lincoln Memorial's battles in this season have been score heavy, and this one has been no different, as goalie Shannon Novak for Lincoln Memorial takes the ball away, but the Lady Rail Splitters give it right back over to the Pioneers, as Madison Malone will reset the offense for Tusculum. Malone, the junior midfielder from Maple Grove, Minnesota. She will reset the offense for the Pioneers, as we are all knotted up at 14 apiece, and then just this incredibly high-scoring affair, this competitive South Atlantic Conference matchup. The Pioneers trying to end a 3-game losing skid, trying to improve to 5-8 on the year. Lincoln Memorial trying to improve to 4-7 on the 2017 campaign, and something has got to give. Lincoln Memorial has lost 3 of their last 4, while the Pioneers have come up on the losing end in their last 3 occasions at the hands of Lenore Rhine, Limestone, and Catawba. As one of these teams will grab a much-needed South Atlantic Conference victory, as the Pioneers slowing the pace down on the offensive side, as Rachel Holmes now will set the offense for Tusculum, as Holmes has 3 goals on the afternoon. 2 came in the first half, with the third coming at the 11:22 mark here in the second period. As for Tusculum, shot on goal attempt was unsuccessful for Haley Bartlett. Bartlett, who has not scored in this matchup, as that shot would have given Tusculum the lead, as we are tied at 14 apiece here Tusculum will regain possession with Rachel Holmes of Tusculum. Tusculum now with Emily Gleason, who has 2 goals on the afternoon. And it's been back-to-back goals from Savannah Elliott, who has 6 total goals on the afternoon that have evened this score at 14 apiece, as Rachel Holmes took a shot to the back of the head there. An inadvertent swipe from Mackenzie Eads of Lincoln Memorial, and Eads will head to the sideline. As we are approaching the 2-minute mark here in the second half, and again, we are all tied up at 14 apiece in this highly competitive South Atlantic Conference matchup. An unbelievable late comeback by the Pioneers after facing a 14-10 deficit. It's now tied at 14 all. As with just 10 minutes to go in the game, Lincoln Memorial held a 4-goal advantage, as we are now officially at the 2-minute mark here from Harrogate, Tennessee, as Tusculum's Haley Bartlett now will give one over to Madison Malone on the right side. And the Pioneers waiting on the offensive end, trying to score what could be the game-winning goal for the Pioneers, as we're tied at 14, trying to cap off this amazing second-half comeback, as it's 4 unanswered goals scored by the Pioneers after facing that 4-goal deficit at the 10-minute mark here in the second half. As we could be heading into extended play, as the ball that time actually hit the back of the official. Nonetheless, Madison Malone maintains possession for the Pioneers of Tusculum College. Tusculum waiting it out here, trying to trying to score a dagger against Lincoln Memorial, which would be a heartbreaker for the fans in attendance here in Harrogate. As Ryan for the Pioneers finds Haley Bartlett. And Tusculum trying to get a shot off here in the final moments of this contest. Bartlett gives off to number 20, Brittany Lowry. Lowry defended heavily by Zervos, as the action has gone all the way over to the right side of the field. Gives over to Rachel Holmes, who finds Madison Malone inside for the Pioneers. Shot on goal attempt is no good for Tusculum. What would have been possibly a game-winning goal by the Pioneers. Nonetheless, Tusculum will retain possession, and they'll get another crack at it. As for the Pioneers now on the left side for Emily Gleason, and she scores! Gleason scores from the left side. Gleason's 3rd goal of the contest, and that gives the Pioneers the lead. A devastating blow to Lincoln Memorial, and Gleason now makes it 15-14 Pioneers. As that's going to bring us to a timeout here on the field, as what could be a heartbreaker for Lincoln Memorial. As you're watching the LMU Sports Network, Tusculum 15, Lincoln Memorial 14. Emily Gleason scores her 3rd goal of the contest for Tusculum with only 11.9 seconds remaining in the contest, in what could be a heartbreaker for Lincoln Memorial. Nonetheless, there's plenty of time here as Lincoln Memorial wins the draw control with Jenny Shorling. However, there's going to be a penalty against the Lady Rail Splitters, as at midfield a Pioneer went down, And Tusculum will now have possession of the ball. And if they hold on for just a few seconds, they will close out on the victory against Lincoln Memorial, as Gleason, who has been the hero for Tusculum, that's going to be the end of it here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex. A heartbreaking defeat at the hands of Tusculum College. A 5-0 run to close out the game for the Pioneers results in victory for visiting Tusculum College, and Lincoln Memorial drops to 3-8 on the season. Your final score, Tusculum 15, Lincoln Memorial 14. We're going to take another quick break. When we return, I'll go over your post-game scoring summary. Back after this on the LMU Sports Network, Tusculum defeats Lincoln Memorial by 1. The Lady Rail Splitters were looking for their second South Atlantic Conference victory in the 2017 season, and unfortunately, their contest against the Tusculum Pioneers ends in heartbreaking fashion, as Emily Gleason provides the tie-breaking score with just 11 seconds remaining in the contest to give the Pioneers the victory over Lincoln Memorial. We're not going to go over the entire scoring summary in this contest because there were a total of 29 combined goals in this outing. The offense was just on display, to say the least, here from the LMU Lacrosse Complex. But as the Lady Rail Splitters led the Pioneers 14-10 with 10 minutes and 9 seconds to go. That was the last goal for Lincoln Memorial, as Zoe Zervos notched her 4th goal of the contest, a team leading 4 goals for Lincoln Memorial, as she joined Amara Moss and another Lady Rail Splitter. I believe that is Jasmine Click. Yes, Jasmine Click, who has 3 goals. The scoring summary is just, the box score is just crazy to look at right now, as Click has 3 goals, Amara Moss has 3 goals in this afternoon, and Zoe Zervos notched the team-leading 4th goal of the contest that made it 14-10 Lady Rail Splitters with 10 minutes and 9 seconds to go. And from that point on, it was all Tusculum, as what seemed to be a definite victory for Lincoln Memorial ended in crushing defeat, as Eliza Ryan scored with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go, and that pushed the deficit to 3, as that made it 14-11 with 7 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Then just a few seconds later, with 6:52 remaining, it was Emily Gleason who notched her 2nd goal of the contest, and that made it a 2-point game. Then it was Savannah Elliott who scored back-to-back goals with 6:28 remaining and then with 5:53 remaining to even the score at 14 apiece. Savannah Elliott with a game-leading 6 goals on the contest. An unbelievable showing by Savannah Elliott. And then, of course, the dagger by Emily Gleason with just 11 seconds left to go in the contest officially gives Tusculum the victory over Lincoln Memorial. For the Pioneers, they improved to 5-8 and 3-2 in South Atlantic Conference play. For the Lady Rail Splitters, they dropped to 3-8 on the season and 1-5 in South Atlantic Conference play. For the Lady Rail Splitters, they will return to action this coming Saturday as they will face off against the Brevard Tornadoes on the road in Brevard, North Carolina. That contest will get underway at a special start time of 7 o'clock p.m. And for the LMU Sports Network, be sure to stay tuned as the men's lacrosse team is going to get underway as part 2 of our doubleheader, again against the Pioneers of Tusculum College. So what we're going to do is we're going to mute the mics here, and we'll keep the shot of the field. You can check out the teams warming up here from both sides. And for the LMU Sports Network, we will return in just a few minutes for the LMU Rail Splitters and the Tusculum Pioneers on the LMU Sports Network.